Could Mike Dunleavy have another move up his sleeve after making the deal for Dennis Schröder over the weekend? That's what we're going to talk about on today's show, as Golden State might need to make another move. And let me know if you guys think Golden State must make another move by hitting that thumbs up icon on today's video. If you want Golden State to make another trade to solidify their status as a contender in the Western Conference, go down below and like today's video. What's going on, Dub Nation? You're watching Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Tyler Smith, and on today's show, we're going to dive into the possibility and potentially the probability that Golden State is going to make another trade to hopefully vault themselves up the Western Conference standings and give themselves their best chance at winning Steph and Draymond their 5th NBA Finals ring. They made a trade for Dennis Schröder over the weekend, sending away DeAnthony Melton, 3 second-round picks, got a second-round pick back in return, and they added themselves another secondary ball handler to kind of help Stephen Curry work off of the ball. But could another trade be coming? Let's start here, right? Let's start with this. In a vacuum, the deal that you made for Dennis Schröder is an A deal, no doubt about it. You basically traded for Dennis Schröder for just 2 second-round picks. And this is a guy who's averaging 18.5 points a game this year, a guy who's averaging 6.5 dimes, shooting 38% from three-point range. It's a good ball player. And you replace a guy in DeAnthony Melton who was going to fit right into that role when you signed him this offseason. Be a guy who's going to be able to bring the ball up the floor, facilitate the offense, let Steph work off of screens, and try to get himself open three-point looks. And give the Golden State Warriors a little bit of confidence, a little bit of stability there at the guard position, so they're not kind of scrambling to find themselves an offense, or Stephen Curry doesn't have to dominate the ball too much. But adding Dennis Schröder alone doesn't really give Golden State any more shot at a championship than it previously did. Yeah, it helps them in the short term. Maybe it contributes to 1 or 2 more regular season wins this season, but Dennis Schröder doesn't stop you from letting up 140 points to the Dallas Mavericks last night. He doesn't stop Luka Doncic from having a 40-point triple-double on national television. No, he doesn't. So, with that being said, does another trade have to happen? I think so. And Golden State is still in a good position to get that done. Like I said, only trading away Melton, who's kind of dead money at this point, wasn't going to be able to contribute anything on a 1-year deal as he's out for the season with ACL surgery. So, Shams Charania, he's kind of seconding this opinion and saying the trade for Dennis Schröder, quote, doesn't keep the Warriors outside big game hunting. Well, if we know this information, and we've talked about some certain trade targets in the past, who is this big game prize that Golden State could be going out there and hunting for? Well, over the weekend as well, Mark Stein and Jake Fisher kind of collaborated for some insider NBA trade buzz in this piece, and this is what they had to say about it. He said, league insiders continue to describe Golden State, as things currently stand, as the only team of the 4 most frequently mentioned as potential Jimmy Butler suitors as having an interest in the 35-year-old that could eventually lead to some substantive trade talks. Man. Now my favorite, and we've talked about this over the past couple of weeks, right? In the offseason, I was all about going and getting Jimmy Butler. But now that we're 20 games into this NBA season, we've seen the product that Andrew Wiggins is putting out on the floor, and we've seen the product that Jimmy Butler's put out on the floor as well. I'm not so sure that Jimmy Butler is the big game prize that maybe he was 2 seasons ago when he dragged his team to the NBA Finals. I'm not sure that he's that player anymore. But, I mean, he is still a bona fide all-star level talent. He's a guy who can rise in the postseason and be a leader in the locker room and honestly kind of take Steph away from the basketball as well. He can dribble, he can facilitate, he can dish it out, and he can let Steph work off of screens and get open three-point looks as well. And maybe that could slide a guy like Dennis Schröder down to the bench. Who knows? But how do you trade for Jimmy Butler with the Miami Heat? You know Pat Riley is going to drive a high bargain for a guy like Jimmy Butler, even though he's not willing to pay him the 2-year max contract that Jimmy Butler is demanding. According to Mark Stein, he said that the Heat won't trade Jimmy Butler unless they're getting back, quote, fair value. And what does that mean, fair value? Well, for Golden State, it means they have to match the salary at minimum. And how do they match the salary? There's only one way it can get done, because they're not going to be trading Draymond Green for Jimmy Butler. Unfortunately, Andrew Wiggins would have to be a part of any Jimmy Butler deal. He makes too much money. $28 million on the books this year, next year, and then $30 million on the books on a player option in the 26-27 season. Jimmy Butler makes $45+ million a season. At least, especially this one, we're going to have to match up the money. You're going to have to give up Wiggins and a whole heck of a lot else as well. But I want to talk about Andrew Wiggins and Jimmy Butler side by side. Who's the better player this season? Let's be completely honest. Jimmy Butler It's been bad this year. This has been a career worst year for Jimmy Butler across multiple stat categories. He's not even a 20-point per game scorer anymore. He's not dominating the glass, which I'm not going to ask Jimmy Butler to do that, but he's not. He's also less in the stocks category, steals plus blocks, than Andrew Wiggins. He's shooting incredibly efficiently from the field, but not really conducive to the way that the Golden State Warriors like to put the ball in the basket. Only shoots 36% from three on 1.4 attempts. That's actually horrific, let's be honest, right? He's only shooting 1 3 a game. He's hitting 36% of them. I don't even know how that's possible. But on the other side, Andrew Wiggins having a career best year, and he's not having as much injury or, personal concerns as he's had in the past. Averaging 17.5 points, 4 rebounds, fine. He's doing a good job crashing the glass for Golden State. 1.7 stocks. He's a great point of attack defender. He can guard multiple spots, super long, and has really come along as a defender over the last couple of years. And he's shooting 44% from three-point range. Are you kidding me? On 5.5 attempts? This is unbelievable. This is production that you're calling Andrew Wiggins' contract now an incredible value. However, Jimmy Butler can do some things on the court that Andrew Wiggins just can't. He's a better creator off the bounce. You could argue he's a better defender. I'd be splitting hairs on that at that point. But he's a better facilitator of the basketball. He's a better leader in the locker room. He's a better voice to have, when things aren't going so hot. He can level the locker room and get things back on track. But I don't know if that outweighs the fit for Jimmy Butler and some other reasons why I would keep him. We'll talk about those in just a moment. But let's be honest. Pick one for me down in the comment section. If it's Jimmy Butler, give me a JB. If it's Andrew Wiggins, give me an AW. This will be the pinned comment on today's video. So go down below and answer this question. Well, YouTube might throw you an ad breaker here in just a moment. Okay. I'd be typing my AWs. And for these reasons right here. Andrew Wiggins is 6 years younger than Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler will be 36 when the next season starts. I know that's kind of on Stephen Curry's timeline, right? But I don't think they need more 36-year-olds in the building when the league is getting younger, quicker, faster, stronger. I don't think they need another one of those guys in there. You already got Draymond on the wrong side of 30, and you got Steph on the wrong side of 35. I don't think you need another guy who's closer to leaving the league than he is to, his last All-Star appearance on this roster. Better fit in Golden State, I think Andrew Wiggins is. He shoots the outside three. He's honestly great working off the ball. And maybe Golden State needs another ball-dominant player. But for what Andrew Wiggins is giving you right now, he's able to take defenders off the dribble and go to the basket. He can hit the outside shot at the top of the key and in the corners. He's just a more versatile offensive player, in my opinion, at this point. Also has less recent injury history. Jimmy Butler has been banged up with a knee so far this season. And he was also banged up with a knee that kept him out of the postseason last year against the Boston Celtics. Had an MCL injury. Also had other knee injuries early in December last season as well. These are things you don't want in a 36-year-old player and a 36-year-old aging star who wants $40+ million a season. He honestly wants $50+ million a season. He ain't getting that, though. Speaking of money, Andrew Wiggins will also make less money over the duration of his contract than Jimmy Butler will in that span, in my opinion. I think Jimmy Butler is going to make more than $30 million a year. I think it's pretty safe to say at this point. Andrew Wiggins does not make more than $30 million for any season over the next two. This season, next, and the $30 million player option that he has in 26-27. So I don't see there's a way that you could say that Jimmy Butler is more valuable to a Golden State team at this point in time than Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins keeps you flexible too. $26 million is a super tradable contract if you wanted to deal him. I just don't think it should be for 36-year-old Jimmy Butler, who's going to go make $40 to $50 million on his next contract. But next, we're going to talk about some good and bad news about your Golden State Warriors. Remember, they did just lose to the Dallas Mavericks last night, so not good news there. And maybe we'll talk about 2 more trade targets at the end of today's show. But first, I got to give a major shout out to today's sponsor. That is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports platform with over 10 million active members, including yours truly. Make your holidays bigger and brighter with Prize Picks, the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. And this holiday season, you can get even up to 200 times your money on Prize Picks. Join now because this holiday season, Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during their promo, Picksmas. Now, you might be asking me, Picksmas, promos, what's going on here? Well, Prize Picks can get you hooked up with $50 in your account when you place your first $5 entry and use our promo code CLNS. How do you place an entry? Simple. 2 or more players in your lineup and just pick more or less like I did last night while I was waiting all day for Sunday night. Let's go, baby. I hit a big-time 10x Prize Picks last night. You had Scoot Henderson, less obvious. They had 10.5 points there on Prize Picks. I was calling that a free square, baby. Also had Romeo Dobbs, less than 40.5 receiving yards. That 22-yard grab he had to end the game there on that last touchdown was 22 yards. Ooh, we were skating the line there as well. We also had JSN to have more than 14 fantasy score. Smack. And we also had Josh Jacobs to get a bunch of yards on the ground, more than 79.5. He cleared that with ease. You can take my picks. You can fade my picks. Just make sure you go and do it at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use that promo code CLNS and get $50 for free when you place your first $5 entry. You don't even need to win to receive the $50. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Okay. The good news is that the Dennis Schröder trade, let's talk about Dennis Schröder a little bit more. It's a win-win for Golden State. If he is going to be somebody that is on this team for the rest of the season and is on this team maybe potentially next season and beyond, I think I love him as a player, man. He's a very, very solid guy. He's not going to blow you away on the defensive side of the ball, but what he does offensively has an unbelievably quick first step, can work in the floater game, can work in the mid-range, can create his own shot. There's a reason he's averaging 18.5 points this year, shooting 38% from three, spaces the floor, and he can also dominate the basketball and let Steph Curry work off. What's also a big-time win with Dennis Schröder here is he makes you flexible. He can actually provide value to you as an outgoing trade piece, as Golden State can put his $13 million salary into a new deal if they wanted to swing for a bigger fish. I'm not saying they're going to do that. I think Dennis Schröder is a valuable piece of this team, and they can still work around and make other deals elsewhere by trading other contracts on the team. But if they were to go trade for a guy like Jimmy Butler, who makes a ton of money, Dennis Schröder can now provide value back to a team like the Miami Heat if they were to go out and deal him. I don't know if they will, but it makes you flexible and gives Golden State a couple more options as they keep hunting down this trade season. However, the bad news is there's probably a reason you made this trade, and it's because Brandin Podziemski stinks. Brandin Podziemski's a bad basketball player. I don't know what this man does well on the court. Can't dribble, can't defend, can't shoot, can't play make, makes bad decisions. He ain't a good ball player. We'll talk more about Pods in just a moment, but I want to hear from you guys before I give you any numbers or expose him even further for being borderline garbage. Let me know what you guys think. Should the Warriors trade Podziemski? Let me know down in the comment section. Type T for trade, type K for keep. I'm trying to hear from Dub Nation. Okay. Brandin Podziemski does stink. They should trade him. They're not going to, but I would be typing my T's for trade. Podziemski only has 4 games with more than 5 field goals made this year. He was brought in to have a sophomore leap, and he's having a sophomore slump right now. More often than not, you're going to see Brandin Podziemski finish the game with 2 field goals made, 3 field goals made. They didn't trade him for Lauri Markkanen, who could shoot the lights out of the gym. I can't. I can't. I'm not going to just harp on Lauri anymore or anything like that. You have Pods now, and you got to live with them on the roster because I don't even know who's going to want this guy in a trade. I know he's super young. I know he's got potential. I know he could improve down the line, and this is probably going to be the worst he plays in his entire career because it can't get any worse. I just don't know. That still makes me mad. You know what makes me even more mad? The fact that he shoots 12% from 3 in fourth quarters. And you know what makes me even more mad than this? Is that it used to be like 5%. Like last week, it was 5% from 3 in the fourth quarter. This guy is not clutch. And you know why I'm really mad about this stat? Because Steve Kerr says that he feels confident and that Brandin Podziemski is somebody that they trust with the ball in his hands at the end of basketball games. How can you say that when this happens? What the hell was this? Trying to dance on Luka Doncic here in the fourth quarter against Dallas last night. He gets him up in the air. Keep in mind, Brandin Podziemski has his dribble. He caught this off the catch. What does he do? He picks up the basketball. He gets him in the air. Luka goes behind him. Podziemski picks up his dribble after dribbling it again. And Lucas is able to envelop him in the corner. Tries to pivot. Tries to make something happen. Then tries a lefty 3-point floater off of 1 foot. What are we doing? And guys, I'm not the only one that thinks Brandin Podziemski stinks. Real, legitimized, tenured reporters think Brandin Podziemski stinks. Tim Kawakami, one of the most well-respected journalists in the San Francisco Bay Area, said this: Schröder will take these Podziemski minutes. Pods is just not a guy who can generate offense against good teams. I have serious concerns about the talent evaluation of Joe Lacob, of Mike Dunleavy, and of Steve Kerr. Because all three have championed this guy as the one who's going to take the mantle at the point guard position away from Stephen Curry. And let's be honest, he hasn't played a ton of minutes at the point guard this season. He has actually spent the majority of his time at the 2 and the 3. And maybe that's more on Steve Kerr than Brandin Podziemski. But I don't care. He has the ball in his hands a ton. I don't even know what dictates where his minute share is at each position. The guy's not good. Let's just leave it at that. But there is also one more piece of bad news for Golden State on today's video. Roll the quote. To acquire both Schröder and Cam Johnson from the Nets, as league sources say, was also weighed by the Warriors, almost certainly would have required them to surrender Jonathan Kuminga. Come on, man! What are we doing? We're not giving away Jonathan Kuminga for a guy who's 6'8" with a 6'10 wingspan, can guard multiple spots, can take you off the bounce, and hits 44% from three. What are we doing? I would have sent Jonathan Kuminga away for Cam Johnson in a heartbeat. And now it looks like the Golden State Warriors, they value Jonathan Kuminga more highly than Cam Johnson, a guy who's making like $23 million a year for the next 3. And they're going to pay Jonathan Kuminga if they don't trade him. Maybe they're holding out. Maybe they're holding out for a bigger fish. I don't know who that is. There really aren't many bigger fish better than Cam Johnson available right now. I would have traded him before I would have even made a call about Jimmy Butler. Then they're going to end up keeping Jonathan Kuminga and paying him $30 to $35 million a year. And I think that will be a mistake. I don't think Jonathan Kuminga is a good generator of offense. I don't think he fits next to Steph and Draymond. And overall, I think Cam Johnson would have been a far better fit and would have gotten Golden State closer to championship contention if they made that deal. And hopefully I eat my words. Hopefully they do trade Kuminga and they get a big-time player back in return. But, man, I'm in shock that quote came out. They had the opportunity to do it, and Jonathan Kuminga stopped this trade from happening. They would have had to throw in another expiring deal as well, probably GP2 or something like that, and maybe even another one. I don't know. But if Jonathan Kuminga was the deal breaker here, I can't really excuse that, in my opinion. Maybe I'm a hater, though. Maybe I'm a hater. If you can let me know if I am on Twitter, @Smitty, @CS. We can talk about it over there. I'll probably, come at you with some facts, some cold hard facts about why Pods and Kuminga just straight up stink. So let me know on Twitter. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel as well. We're fastly approaching 71,000 subscribers here on Warriors Today. Trade rumors, news, injury updates, live shows. We got all of it right here at Warriors Today. Make sure you hit that red sub button. We'll see you in the next one. Let's go Dubs.